Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. Yet could it also be the keystone to unlocking many of the unknown mysteries? In this show, we'll be discussing all of the haunts, local legends, and unknown phenomena that have happened right here in our very own backyard. I'm your host, Matt Boyer, a senior investigator in the paranormal field.
And I'm Jacob Bacasa, a junior investigator.
And this is Unearthing the Unknown. St. Vincent's history is riddled with ghost stories, even in newer times, like here at St. Benedict Hall, with many stories of ghosts hanging around campus. This one is one of the more famous stories of St. Vincent. This is the story of Jenny from Benny. All right, Jake, episode 4. I think this is one that people have been looking forward to. I mean,
I would figure maybe Aurelius, but I guess if nobody really knows.
Yeah, people know the Aurelius story, so I think that one is a good one. Plus, they were all tied together. The Gristmill, Paul Keck, and
I would argue that the Aurelius is more exciting due to the rumors around it. But I guess
true.
I guess
this one people have been waiting for because, in my personal opinion, and I think in most people on campus, they will say that the most well-known story of any ghost is Jenny from Benny.
Yeah, I mean, that aside from Aurelius, I did know Jenny from Benny when I was here.
Yeah. I mean, everybody hears some kind of story, but tonight we're going to tell kind of all the short stories that all morph in to the one.
The legend.
To the one of Jenny.
The legend of Jenny from Benny.
Yeah. However, because this is episode 4, do you know what this means? This is our 1 month in.
It is. I almost, I nearly forgot.
Well, I mean, this is the end of the month. So this next episode will be, we've officially had 1 month full of episodes, but this is the final one of this month, so we've now been doing this for a whole month.
Yeah.
Dang. I mean, there's a few of our other shows that have been going on longer, but still, this is a little anniversary for us. So, all right. There's no cake afterwards.
Fun little anniversary of telling spooky little ghost stories.
Yeah, but there's no cake afterwards to celebrate. Sorry, buddy.
You guys got the shack, whatever goodies they got. No.
Okay.
No. Okay.
No. But no, the other neat thing is this is being broadcasted right before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Now, we will have one episode that will come out that Wednesday right next to Thanksgiving. But I think it's kind of neat knowing that, even with spooky season being now far over, we're still doing this. We're still telling these stories because, they're still interesting, even as the holidays. I mean, who does not love to hear a ghost story at the dinner table on Thanksgiving?
Christmas Carol.
We should actually do that as a special edition while we're on break because... So WSVC will be going dark while we're on Christmas break, but maybe we should have a special...
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Hey.
I like break. I'm sorry. That's all I'm saying. Just hallelujah to the break. I'm not saying that.
Okay, hallelujah to us being dark. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
No.
Yeah, hallelujah to the break.
Yeah. But no, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe you and I should do a special version over winter break of us reading A Christmas Carol. What do you think?
Would that be allowed? Does that infringe on copyright?
No. Yeah, people do voice reading all the time.
Yeah, I guess. It's an idea.
Worst comes to worst, it gets taken down.
Oh, yeah. It's something that we do that has to get,
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
All right. Yeah.
Neat idea.
Yeah. But it's not Christmas time yet. It's still time for us to be telling our story instead of reading Charles Dickens. So let's get into the story from Jenny from Benny.
Yes.
So we're here in St. Benedict Hall, so we are at the place where it's happening. Though the majority of this story and the sightings of Jenny actually takes place 5 floors above us.
So the top floor.
Yeah. And a lot of this happens, so where we're sitting is in the lobby. When you first come through the doors, we're sitting in the lobby to the left. So this story actually mainly focuses around the pod that is on the 5th floor, down on the very end, that faces out towards Rooney.
That looks at Rooney.
Yeah, I think it's 5F or something. We should have gone up and checked.
We should have just like taken the elevator up there.
We'll put it in the description of the video. Like any information that we leave out in any of these investigations or stories, we'll just put it like down below. In the
or we cut
place
right now
can
when we
find
race up and we come back.
That's up to you, man. We
You know what? I'm going up and checking real quick.
we'll be right back, ladies
Please
and
hold.
gentlemen.
Okay.
Well, that was quick. Jeez.
Hey, you know what? I don't. Speedy delivery.
You
Let's keep with the
should go on the track team.
No. No.
You can't. Okay, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
No, so my mistake. It's not 5F, it's 5D. So it would be, I believe it's the women's honors pod. So it's the pod, again, that faces all the way down towards rim.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that mean that there's like pod?
E and F are kind of like in the middle and then down that way. So,
Oh, okay. So it is E. It's D, E, and F.
yeah.
I just don't know why it would be A, B,
I'm
C.
thinking it's because it lines up with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors. It doesn't line up with A, B, and C because A, B, and C are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
That's
So that's why it's not A, B, and C up there.
the
Yeah.
pods line up with where
Yeah.
D, E. Okay,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
Anyhow, so it's pod 5D. Side note, just as on my little run up there, God, do I miss this building. I lived here my freshman year in pod 1C. 1C rules. I don't care what you say.
Shut up. No, 3B. 3B
No,
was
it
where
was
it's at.
1C.
DJ, we love you. We still remember you.
Hey, DJ Rydell was my prefect first of 1C, and he will always be a 1C prefect. So that was his first placement as a prefect. So no, I claim him as my prefect and as part of 1C. You can't claim him for no. You're just wrong. You're just wrong. I'm sorry, buddy, but you're wrong. Pod 1C. We had so many weird memories and stories that I could tell you from that. I mean, all the pods can. And I won't tell many of them. Let's just say that the centerpiece, which sadly is no longer there, we had broken Jesus. Like how all the living rooms...
broken figurine of...
Well, no. So like how in all the living room areas there's a crucifix with Jesus there.
Yeah.
Ours was like missing an arm and half his torso and one of his legs and everything, but it was hilarious. I know, like half of Jesus was not
Why
there.
though? What? It was just gone?
Yeah, it had been like that all year long, and none of us ever decided to replace it. We just thought it was too funny. But anyhow, no. So
Hey, we all got our weird traditions, man. I'm not going to question it.
one of our pod activities was literally eating a buddy of mine's Rice Krispie treat that I got him for Christmas. We used that as one of our events because we needed one. And
You all just like broke bread and like
pretty much.
ate that Rice Krispie.
We had a Last Supper in like February, and it was a Rice Krispie treat that I got him for Christmas. It was actually Danny. It was Danny who I got it for.
Well, it's on brand for what your last story was. But anyway, I think
We are way off. We are way off. So let's actually get into the story of Jenny from Benny. So pod 5D is where all this starts, but let's actually go back. Let me get my notes out here. But let's actually go all the way back to the beginning of the building of Saint Benedict Hall. So Saint Benedict would have been built early 2000s, and the dirt that was used for this area actually came from multiple different places. Some of it came from a cemetery, which there was said to be partial of the Saint Vincent Cemetery up here, and then they exhumed all of the caskets and everything and moved them to where now the hall.
Oh, that's fun. Just like Jerry and Bonnie.
You live right in front of the cemetery.
You live in front of the cemetery. Now with Rooney, you would have lived right next to a cemetery.
Right. Yeah. So that is.
I don't mean any disrespect, by the
Yeah.
way. I just find that funny.
So my notes are saying here, and these are coming from the great Father Brian Boozle, who we still miss here and wish that he's doing well down in D.C. Father Brian is who I got all my notes here. He knew the ghost stories way better than I did.
Yeah, you mentioned that I think in episode 2.
St. Vincent is built on multiple layers of history, a Native American burial ground, a cemetery, an orphanage, and many other places.
Wow, a Stephen King novel right there.
I know. I mean,
just hitting all the check marks.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah. These would be great for, like, short movies to remake.
Or just short stories.
Well, I mean, that's what we're doing here, are the short stories, but I'm just talking about, like, if we made...
If you made a visual medium
like,
of it.
Yeah, like little short movies that reenacted this. I mean, it's literally Family Guy...
So unsolved mysteries.
Kind of, yeah. Though I'm just thinking, since you brought up Stephen King, Family Guy saying on who it actually was who wrote it, it's the weird guy, scary stuff, ding, scary stuff, scary stuff, ding. Scary stuff, scary stuff.
I could make a
scary
joke
stuff.
about
Lunch.
I can make a joke about that, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, we're not going to. Getting back to this. So, the second layer of earth that was used for this area of building Saint Benedict Hall came from the cemetery. Now, one of the beliefs is that Jenny was a young girl who died and was buried here at St. Vincent Cemetery. And when they got rid of everything and were preparing to build here, they moved all of the caskets, coffins, all that stuff over to where the majority of the cemetery is now.
Mhm.
But somehow they forgot Jenny's casket. And so her casket was still there in that second layer of earth. And St. Benedict was built on top of it. However, I do not believe that.
I don't, do you have your reasonings? Because I don't want to say anything until...
Yeah, so why I don't believe that is, let's just face it, that would be a big thing to forget a grave. Not to mention that while you'd be digging and like leveling everything out or whatever, you would more or less stumble across part of this coffin's vault or the coffin itself. I mean, like, if you are forgetting that, how?
This place is gigantic, and if the whole thing was built over where the cemetery used to be, then like it would seem like a massive oversight that somebody forgot. And or like, let's think of it this way: somebody would have had to have kept a record of all the graves that were there, right?
Exactly.
How would you have missed it?
I mean,
like,
even those that may have not had a marker would still at least have a general area where there would be one.
You would you would look at like a blueprint of like the land and just like map out like, oh, this is where the cemetery was. This is who we need to get out of here and like put somewhere else. Like
So saying that her grave was forgotten, that she's buried underneath the building, and that's why she haunts the place, just really, I can't believe it. I just think that would be, because you got to think, with the Catholic population here, with the Archabbey and monastery, that would be a huge thing of like a failure of the college, of the Archabbey.
It'd be a failure of anything, really.
Yeah. So that's why I don't want to believe that that her grave is still underneath. I mean, trust me, like how it said that there's a Native American burial ground that is one of the layers of dirt that was used here on the campus, that I could believe. If you're having, which I don't believe that Jenny is Native American from what you'll hear during the rest of the video on how she's depicted. I don't think she's Native American. But with like Native American stuff, you know, the soil itself does have attachments for Native American spirits still. So even if that's moved, there's a good chance the Native American spirits will move with that ground because they have that in their beliefs.
It almost makes me think of like an emotional imprint of something that like some like or like
kind of
again like a tulpa, like I mentioned last episode, where somebody is like gets attached to something and like kind of like puts some of their like emotion, energy, thought, whatever. Now
the other reason, and because you brought that up about the attachment to it, I can understand Native American spirits having attachment to the land, but I can't imagine that a young girl who died having much attachment to where she was buried, because now spirit will go to graves where their remains are and everything, but for the most part they don't really like to be there. They would rather be where like if their house is still standing, they want to be there where their memories are, where they're truly attached to.
I was gonna say look to any depicted haunting ever of like a human ghost or something like that, and it's like 9 times out of 10
it's where they feel attachments to, whether that was their house
again, like an emotional attachment,
or you know, maybe a church that they were very heavily involved, like different things like that. That's where you're going to find those kinds of things, not ultimately at the graves. They will still go to the graves, but they're going to go to places that were important in their life. And especially for a little girl, I doubt that she would have, I mean, like the family would have had, unless like her entire family lived around here and they had graves out here and she came out to help her parents or something. Still, I just can't see why a little girl would have such a big over-attachment to a cemetery, besides that her remains were there.
I was going to say, would she even have known about her parents then?
Well, she wouldn't have, I mean, she would have been old enough from depictions to know, like, about her parents, but it's not like she already had a grave site picked out when she died. That was most likely
Well, I think what I'm saying is, like, would she have known, like, she probably would have known that, like, oh, I had parents. Like, she probably wouldn't even have known who they were.
Oh, no. You would be surprised. Spirit is very good with that.
Really?
Yeah. Trust me. One of my favorite pieces of equipment that I use is known as Phasma Box, and I'll talk more about this
I assume you have a story with that.
Well, I used it while doing investigations my freshman year and getting to meet and talk with Jenny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we'll get into that. No. So Phasma, you can really talk with Spirit, and the conversations, which you always allow Spirit to kind of direct the conversation, but nevertheless, you can get a lot of great information. For instance, side note here, some investigators who I've worked with who live out in Chambersburg, out near Gettysburg, they were in Gettysburg doing a Phasma box session out on the battlefields. This was before it's now like a big no-no to go out there at night and do investigations on the battlefields. Like, you can get heavily fined for that, but that was before this. They're out there, and a spirit said to them, "See you in Kane." Now, that's my hometown. They didn't even know where Kane was or what that was until like 2 weeks later, my mentor offered for them to come up here, up to my hometown for an investigation, and it was like a light bulb click, and they were like, "Wow." So talking with that, and then when I got into all these investigations, talking and asking Spirit, they know who they are most of the time. There are some who don't know who they were, but if they have good memory, even as a spirit, they could say, "Yeah, these were my parents, these were my grandparents, these were my children." They can do stuff like that. They can even talk about certain people who might be living. For instance, there was an issue I had with my first major investigation, and Spirit went off and just said, "How's Matt doing?" After some stuff went down that wasn't good. Just like out of the blue, they were having a different conversation with the investigators, and they're like, "How's Matt doing?" I was like, which I'll tell my story of that investigation for 1 in January. Yeah. But we're getting we're getting off topic.
We'll have more discussion because I have my skeptic cards being flagged right now. I don't know. It's
you got a full hand.
It seems way too good to be true. But again,
well, you'll also see. You say that now, but wait till we actually start using some of these pieces of equipment when telling these stories or stuff like that. You'd be surprised.
All right, let's see.
Yeah. So anyhow, getting actually back to Jenny here. Where I believe that she came from was that one of the other layers of dirt that was used was from an orphanage. Now, there is a story of a second girl that had some connection with that orphanage who can also be seen around Saint Benedict Hall. This second girl is often spotted in the bathroom mirror of Pod 5D.
Was this Bloody Mary?
I was thinking kind of, either like a combination of Bloody Mary and the girl from The Ring. Because how she's depicted, according to the notes here, is she's often spotted in the mirror of the girl's bathroom with dark black hair and kind of like a grayish blue face. Like, not like a transparent one, like what you'd think, but almost like very, very pale, with like blue around the lips and the eyes, and that's because this
frostbite.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at here is actually the second girl, according to it, she froze to death outside of her orphanage because she was accidentally locked out on a cold winter night. So she looks as if, like, after she died, how she would have been found the next morning, kind of very pale,
frozen to death.
Yeah. But they say that you can see her up in the mirrors of the two bathrooms there in 5D. Now.
Have fun sleeping tonight, Pod 5D.
Yeah, well, the fun thing is, and...
The fun thing, you say?
Well...
Sorry, I like to point that out, just like the irony in it. I'm sorry. Don't die on me.
We're good. So no, why I say the fun thing is,
Are you okay?
I'm good. You got me laughing too hard there.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
You need to go. We can cut again and you can get like a drink.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
No, so my notes here say that this is Jenny, but I actually like to believe it's this other girl, this one with black hair. It said that Jenny likes to leave melted handprints on the outside of the windows of 5D. So like in the wintertime...
Well, melted as in like if you put the hand on and like the... I want to say condensation, but I know that's not right.
Well, kind of, yeah.
Like,
so...
The whenever the window fogs up from the cold, it like kind of like imprints.
Yeah, like how there would be that imprint. So it says that it would either be a melted handprint or like a frosted handprint
on the windows up on 5.
and 5D, but on the outside of them, not on the inside. So,
I
with
mean,
that,
that makes sense. Like a girl who's stuck outside frozen. You can see
Yeah.
it in the winter. Yeah.
as if and that's why I'm thinking it's probably her, not Jenny. Because, okay, she froze to death, she's trying to get back into her orphanage, probably knocking on windows or whatever, and those handprints would most likely be from her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, honestly, I can say I hope that when we leave here tonight, we might, because if we go back to your room over in Rooney, we'll have to walk up the steps and go by 5D. Because I would just love to see your reaction. If there's just like a spirit, like a black spirit with long black hair, just floating around at the windows and putting her hand up to you would crap your pants.
No, I would just pass away right then and there.
Well, you're gonna join her and put your handprints on the window too? Just like floating above us.
No, I'm gonna go hunt the cornfields and just like walk around there at night.
Well, I already told you that the great Father Barnabas used to do that with some of his monk buddies, is hide in the corn.
Yeah, I got my
Plus,
head.
well, actually, would you really want to do that after the issue you had on that back road in the cornfields last year?
No, I'll find out what was back there.
Okay.
We'll get into that story.
Yeah, that's a
when we
different
tell
story.
our own stories. But
Yeah. No, so let's actually get into the story of Jenny.
Actually, I'll fight it. But
There
again,
you go. Yeah. So
different story.
where I believe Jenny came from was actually also this orphanage.
Same orphanage.
I would guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would guess so.
I don't know how many orphanages did they get dirt from. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'd like to believe that she was most likely from this orphanage. And how the story starts with seeing Jenny here is when they are building Saint Benedict Hall. What?
Sorry. Do you think they talk to each other?
Maybe.
They could be friends. Jenny and
it could be that they could, they might not. I can't tell you. But Spirit will talk with each other.
Can we call this other girl Henny, I guess? Just for the
No.
what's the word what's another name?
No, just shh.
Oh.
No. Because, which I forgot to tell you this, Jenny's not actually her name. And I will tell you what it is later. I'm holding you in suspense.
You alluded that to me. Like,
yes, I have.
Behind the scenes, we've been talking about the story a little bit in preparation for this episode, and
I won't tell him.
He's been alluding to it this entire time, and it's annoying.
That will be at the end of the episode. So for now, we're going to keep with her being called Jenny, and why that is because most likely some students have heard the story of this ghost. They name her Jenny because it rhymes with Benny. That's it. Yeah,
that makes the most sense.
So when they're building St. Benedict in the early 2000s, a lot of machines up here, so heavy backhoes, dump trucks, that kind of stuff.
Well, and even then, you got to think, like, prior... Okay, let me ask you this. Does anyone else outside of you know what her real name is?
Well, I don't... Now, I've told other people.
Okay.
However, I don't know for sure.
My point then being is that, like, well, we're in Benny. Nobody knew what this girl's name was. Let's call her Jenny from Benny.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Now, actually, getting back to the story here, so I can finally start. And
I'm sorry.
I know you got questions, and I'm happy to answer them, and that's what this is for. So now, when they
something on this podcast,
besides for complain that it's cold.
That's 4 out of 4 people. We got it. We got the running bit going.
In the early 2000s, when they are building St. Benedict, a lot of backhoes and like dump trucks, heavy machinery like that to level out the area and start with the building.
The skeleton of
building like the steel frame or anything like that. What happened is some of the construction workers start noticing that there's this little girl who is running around playing in between all the machinery, and she has a ball with her in some accounts, and she's running around there playing, and they try and call for her saying, hey, don't be playing around here, don't be hanging out, go play somewhere else. Yeah. Well, they don't want a little girl in a construction site where she could get hurt.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they try going over to tell her, and she's gone. Like, she's not there. So they see her from, let's say that this happened over near, like, where pod C's are. And let's say they were over here on the other side of the lobby, so over by like pod B. And let's say they're calling to her, they walk over towards there, look through the machinery. nowhere to be found. As if she just, like, vanished.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the first few sights of her. Fast forward now, St. Benedict is built. The first night after its completion, there's one gentleman, I forget who it is, but there's one gentleman who is staying here in the building.
A monk, priest, or like just like some
Member of the St.
member of
Vincent
the
staff. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I forget exactly who it is, and I don't.
Again, we could put like an addendum or something in like
Yeah.
the description.
And I'm
or,
just
like,
looking here at my
comments.
notes, and I do not have that here on what his name was.
We'll find
Yeah.
we'll find it
Yeah.
like that somewhere.
Anyhow, so he's staying up in actually pod 5D in one of the rooms up there. So here, he's the only person that has access to the building, and it's late at night. He's sleeping, and he wakes up to the sound of a little girl running around and giggling. Along with that is kind of like the sound of a ball bouncing, almost like one of those cheap plastic rubber balls, like what you get from Dollar General or Walmart for like $2.
I got one of those like at an arcade once. It's really nice.
Yeah. But I'm guessing like it probably would have been like one that's about this size, like one of the actual like.
Oh, I got like a kickball, or like something a little smaller.
No. I mean like a little bit bigger than a kickball, like one of those rubber ones that. Do you know what I'm talking about here?
I think I have an idea. Like, I'm not gonna get hung up on like
Yeah.
what rubber ball it is.
It's literally like a big rubber ball that you would have.
I'm gonna imagine a kickball just for like sake of.
Think of like thinner rubber and a little bit bigger. They're usually like the ones that were brightly colored, like neon blue.
Like one of those exercise balls.
No,
I don't know. Like
hang on.
again, no.
No, I'm looking this up just because.
For our video viewers, we might put a picture of it up on the screen right now. Audio listeners, we love you, but I'm sorry.
No, like one of those big ones there.
Oh yeah, I see what you. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
one of those balls you see in like the
Yeah,
cages.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm kind of.
No, okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Now.
Do you really think that there's going to be a kickball for sale at Walmart for $2?
This is like what the 19.
No, this is the early 2000s.
Oh. I don't know.
This is like 10 years ago, a little over that this story takes place. Anyhow,
Wow. Wow.
you gotta remember, St. Benedict's the newest building out of all the doors.
And it was built. It was built in like the early 2010s.
I'd say early 2010s, late 2000s. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
freaky.
So, guy's staying up there, pod 5D. He hears like a little girl running through the outer hallway and then in the hallway around the pod, bouncing this ball. Apparently, there is a knock at his door, and he can hear this little girl giggling, and he is kind of half awake and just says, go away. I'm not wanting to play. I don't know if he heard the spirit ask, could you come out and play, or if he just said that. Ultimately, after he says no, that he wasn't going to come out and play, or go away, I'm trying to sleep, the little girl kind of runs off, still with that ball bouncing, but that very young girl giggling still happening.
Yeah. Sorry, I just imagine like.
I am not going to try and do a young girl giggle.
No.
It would not go
No,
well.
no. I know, like, you're condensing the story, and I get that. But I like to imagine this guy just woke up and, like, just stoically was like this girl asked him to play. He's like, no, I'm going back to sleep. I don't want to. Even though he's the only one in the building, and, like, just this ghost girl or something.
Well, I mean...
Sorry, again, you're condensing the story,
Yeah.
and, like, you gotta cut out the details. I'm just imagining, like, this just stoic of a man, just like, oi, who's out there?
No.
Continue, I'm sorry.
Yeah, anyhow, so what happens is apparently many other people have sighted, or at least heard, a young girl running through the outer hallway in between pods D, E, and F, bouncing like a rubber ball, and hearing that young girl giggle. And people who have lived in pod 5D have also heard that through the hallway around, like the two hallways and the living room area of the pod.
Have fun sleeping tonight, future freshmen who may watch this.
Yeah. With that, what happens is, in another story, this one talks about, well, as we all know, St. Benedict is famous for at least the fire alarm going off maybe, what would you say, 5 times a year?
Give or take.
Okay, yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Speaking of experience, that there have been people who have, like, burnt stuff in the microwave kitchen that's on the second floor.
Oh, I'm talking more so about people burning stuff in their microwaves in the pods. Burning the mac and cheese bowls because they don't put water in, which I still don't know how you forget to put
I
water in
forgot
the
we had
cheese.
microwaves in the pods. That's right.
Or burning toast, because some of them have a toaster, or burning popcorn.
I remember when we walked out of our pod once when the fire alarm went off, because I think it happened at least twice in our year. But you just went out and you just smell burnt popcorn, and it did not go away.
My freshman year, the alarm went off one time because the elevator next to 1C flooded. Think about
and
that.
short circuited.
Yeah, apparently a bunch of rainwater got down to the elevator shaft, and it started landing on the elevator gears underneath, like the actual elevator itself, and short-circuited.
That's
But
amazing.
I just think that's funny that an elevator can flood.
Well, it's amazing because it's like that's like what 10 years. Like I wouldn't think 10 years is that long for like that amount of like damage to happen where like water could easily get in there.
Who
and
knows?
Flood.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is it was like 3 a.m. I'm up in the kitchen, and next I know I'm walking out into the pouring rain because an elevator flooded. But yeah, so what happens is, in another story with Jenny, one day, and Father Brian has here in parentheses, as usual.
Wait, is that in regards to the?
Yeah, look at that. One day, as usual.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, someone burns popcorn at Saint Benedict, and the fire alarm goes off.
That's amazing. Oh, shout out to that. That made my night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So as it says, when the firemen, most likely the Saint Vincent Fire Department, comes up here, they check the building. I'm guessing then that this happened in 5D. He doesn't say for sure exactly which pod, but because all the sightings have been of Jenny in 5D, most likely some girl and her friends were probably having a movie night or something and burnt popcorn. I'm just making a speculation here. I don't actually know. Fireman goes up into the 5th floor, goes into the pod, and is checking the rooms just to make sure everything's okay. And most likely probably open windows to get that smell out of there, along with any smoke that may have been there in that pod. He goes into one of the rooms and discovers a small blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl sitting on one of the girls' beds.
She imagines like Alice in Wonderland or something
Maybe.
like her like blue dress and things like.
Well, I don't know. It just says blonde hair, blue eyes.
Again, like that's like the design of Alice from Alice in Wonderland. I kind of imagine her or something.
The firefighter interviewing asked the girl what her name was, who she was staying with, who her parents were, that kind of stuff. And now this is where the story differs. Some people have said that the only thing that he got out of her was the name Jenny. I don't believe that as much because now sometimes I know that it has been true, but it is very rare to my knowledge that you would have like a full vision apparition show up and also be able to talk with you.
I was gonna say that would be one of the things that I really am skeptical.
So
about.
The other one, which I believe more, is that she just sat there and either did not acknowledge him or just watched him and didn't say a thing.
Actually,
yeah,
that reminds me of like the Greenbrier ghost, like because in that case there was a full apparition. Yeah. That's a different story. Yeah. I'm just pointing that out.
The man interviewing told her that he would be right back because he had to check the rest of the rooms. Okay. Some freshman girl just walked in and they were like screaming like a bunch of banshees. They're kind of perfect for this.
Sorry if you heard that.
Yeah. Anyhow, so the firefighter interviewing her told her that he'd be right back. He needed to check the rest of the pod. So he goes through, checks the rest of the rooms and everything. Now, as we know, those doors into the pods, you know when one of them is open or closed because they make noise.
Yes.
Yeah. He doesn't hear anything, but when he goes back to the room, the girl is gone. Just like disappeared. So he checks the room. She's not hiding in any of the wardrobes. She didn't go into the bathrooms, or because he checks the entire pod again.
Again, those doors are pretty loud too.
Yeah, because you would hear the outer doors outside the pod hit because they have those magnetic locks.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden she just kind of vanishes and no one knows what happened.
I'm just imagining this guy's like sitting there, like if Jenny did not talk to her, him.
Yeah.
He's just like, you all right there? She's just sitting there, says nothing, and he's like, who are your parents? Who are you with?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check the rest of the pod. Just stay.
Be like, okay,
stay here. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot freakier in my mind.
Yeah. So he checks the rest of the pod. She's nowhere to be seen. Like she just disappeared into thin air. So very, very neat. Yeah. Again, like I said, many girls have heard that there has been a little girl running around the pod or stuff like that. People have said that they have even heard a little girl's giggle, and again that plastic rubber ball thing in the stairwells.
When you have in the stairwells.
Yeah, so there's 3 stairwells, but it always sounded like this girl was just standing on the landing of the 5th floor in the stairwell.
Oh, I missed.
So people have said, and this, I never believed that you could hear the ball bouncing from the 1st floor, but I guess that I was thinking like I'd hear this in my pod.
If you're in the stairwell and you're on the first floor,
you would hear it echoing. Yeah, you'd hear that, especially like if you're down here, because the stairwell's right behind the desk there.
Oh, that's... Yeah, could you hear this in any stairwell?
You could hear this in any of the 3, depending which one.
Oh, that's freaky. I made a short film.
I don't think it was all at the same time.
Well, I made a short film in one of the stairwells once. That
you were telling me about this and how it was kind of based off this story.
No, it wasn't based on Jenny from Benny.
But it had the same storyline.
Well, no, it eerily parallels, like, there's like a girl or some, or like a female spirit or something haunting the stairwell. It's fantastical, but like it's an eerie parallel that I was not aware of until much later. Yeah. Actually, I think when we were discussing the story.
Yeah, is when you told me that, yeah. Anyhow, so Jenny is still said to be one of the more friendly of spirits. Everybody kind of thinks that spirit is all mean and everything. That actually is usually not the case. They're usually friendly, but this one is said to be more friendly, interacts more, and you usually find that with spirit, especially if it is a spirit of a child, because they are children, they want to interact more, they have still that playful sense. Meanwhile, an adult spirit could be like, as any adult is, get away from me.
I like to imagine as well that like she adopted Jenny as like a nickname. Like maybe she'll respond to it.
Let's actually get into the year of 2021-2022. I'm a freshman here.
Yes.
And I became known as pretty much Saint Vincent's Ghostbuster right from the start. Because I was in my prime at the time as a senior investigator. When I first came here, I knew there were going to be a lot of stories. I had already started to hear some. Even talking with Brother Xavier on the first night here during the graffiti dance about the spirits.
Oh, graffiti dance.
I know. That's back when it was still up in the intramural fields.
Oh, we had it in the intramural fields.
This year it was down in the baseball field. So it was a different place. Yeah.
Honestly, I think a better place.
Better place, yeah. Yeah, but we're up there in the intramural fields, and Brother X and I, we probably spent the majority of the night, instead of me running around getting like signatures and all that stuff, him and I talking ghost stories. It was great. Anyhow, so I'm here, and during the night times, I was on committee for APB, so I always was happy to put up the posters for APB. What I'd do is I'd put my earbuds in, I'd start on the 5th floor and just work my way down, slipping all the posters under every pod door and putting them on the boards there next to the elevator. So a few different times, I would take one of my K2 meters with me, and I would just kind of sweep the halls to see if I picked up anything. And there would be a few times when I was on the 5th floor that I'd pick something up. So I'm up there one night. It's a weekend. Very few people are here. I think it was around the time that one of the campus ministry retreats was going on or something. So the building, for the most part, is pretty empty.
Okay.
So I go up there and I take a few of my different pieces of equipment, including my Phasma box, and I'm picking up a little girl talking to me through Phasma box. And I asked, are you the spirit that everybody claims to be Jenny? And I get back, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm talking with Jenny from Benny. But something, and I had heard this, that people just gave her the name and that her name actually wasn't Jenny. And I also really had some kind of personal inclination that her name wasn't Jenny. So I said, is your name actually Jenny? No. Like, I was getting these kind of yes and no questions back through Phasma box and a few other different pieces of equipment I was using. I know you're skeptical of this, but let me finish this, and then you can give your skeptics. So what happened?
I just want to say, like, do you have like
yes,
evidence, like a recording of that? Okay.
So actually, one thing that all investigators, when they're in investigation, this should always have some kind of recorder on them because that will pick up what we don't hear. And that's because spirit, just like, how there's dog whistles where we don't hear them, but the dogs will? Yeah. Because it's a higher frequency. That's kind of the same thing with spirits. Spirits being able to talk, we can't hear it with the human ear because it's such a high frequency and it's a different level of it. So we can't hear it without having some kind of special devices or something. However, a recorder can pick that up. I will use
I don't know if I ever said my thoughts on this at some point. I'll have to talk to you like in behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But like we'll get into it if we ever have a
Yeah.
dedicated episode.
Let's finish this and then get into your
Yeah.
skeptics. Yeah. So what happens
Fair.
is, after she tells me no, that her name's not actually Jenny, I start going through just a random list of names that I was coming up with off my head, and I would either get yes or no answers. And I mean, for this, there was only one yes answer, and so I kept going through. Is your name?
So and so.
Yeah, and it was usually no. And then I finally get to the name, and she says yes.
How many names did you go through? Out of curiosity, if you remember.
Probably it wasn't that far in.
You were just thinking like the most base generic names first.
I was going through names of just that were coming to my head, and most of them were like names of family members or friends, stuff like that,
Fair enough.
where I was getting them from. And yeah, like I said, usually it was a no, and then finally I get my yes, and I knew what her name was. Do I continue to hold you in suspense?
What are you plotting?
Take a guess what her name was. Just take a guess. Let's,
Oh God.
for my own entertainment.
God. Just
Any name. First one that comes to your mind.
Bella.
No, you were way off. I'm sorry.
Okay, it was a six. Like, it was a 6 million to 1 chance.
Yeah, I know. That was just for sheer entertainment for me.
Oh, glad I.
You're welcome.
Glad I entertained
Yeah,
you.
yeah, thanks for
Give
it.
me the name.
Her name was Emma.
I'm kind of close.
No, you were no. You got one letter
Emma.
right.
Well, it was the
No.
the cadence was sort of similar. The cadence of the
Okay,
names.
out of okay, so yes, there is an E in Bella, and same with
What?
Emma, and there's an A in there. However, I mean the E is not in the same place, so I will say that you got one letter in the correct place right.
I'll take it, I guess.
You can't win Wheel of Fortune with only one letter, so
Okay.
yeah. Anyhow, while talking with Emma, here
You're sure this was Jenny or Jenny? What? Are you sure it wasn't like the other girl?
Well, I mean, I want to believe so because I had asked the question, "Are you the spirit that everybody says is Jenny?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the other. I'm thinking maybe the other spirit is confused as well. Maybe they people think. Or she
I don't
thinks that
think
she's
so.
Jenny.
I don't think so because that spirit story is less known than Jenny.
You know what? Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
and
they
I
talk
can-
to each other. Maybe
I
they
can't
talk
even
to us.
tell you if there have been more recent sightings of that one in the mirror or not. So who
Oh.
knows? Yeah. Anyhow,
I'd be interested to catch a sighting of her. But anyway, sorry. I'll let
go
you
back to your room, go into your bathroom, and conjure Bloody Mary.
Saint Bloody Mary. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want
Saint Vincent Bloody Mary. That's what we're gonna call her
Saint
from now on.
Vincent Blood. You know what?
We have our own version of
Saint
Bloody
Vincent Bloody Mary. That's a good one. Yeah.
Mary. There you go. We do have Saint Vincent Scary Mary, but that'll be a different story. That'll be one for the future. Scary Mary.
Excuse me?
Yeah, she's also known as the Lady of Our Prom. It's a statue of Mary that's out in the cemetery that cries
Oh,
blood.
the crying. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
We'll get more into that one, and we'll actually do that one on location next to it and see if she can cry blood for us.
That was the reason.
That's the one that I told you about. Yeah.
No, that was the inciting incident for my story.
Yeah.
We'll get
Getting
into
back,
that again.
getting
Go
back. Yeah,
to
we
the-
we are getting more off topic than I think Steven and Leo do in the pit stop. That's with 2 T's every Thursday on WSVC Radio.
Sell out.
Hey, you and I are.
Sell out.
Hey, I am the station manager. You are the assistant.
Sell
manager.
out. No, I'm kidding.
We have to promote all the shows, not just our own.
We
Yeah.
love our shows equally.
Yeah. Anyhow, while I'm talking with this spirit up there, I keep being asked if I will play with her. If I would play with her. And I said, yeah, I'll play with you. What are you wanting to play? Are you wanting to play a game? Are you wanting to do this or that? And when spirit asks you to do that, you do try and still do something along those lines. Now,
You just pull out a ball from your pocket.
actually, I had a ball down in my room at the time.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it was a smaller ball,
Yeah.
like probably about yay big or so.
That's what I imagined
Yeah.
when you said like she was like
Yeah.
she threw a ball
But-
like a little rubber ball.
Yeah, no, but I took it up and I bounced it around and everything for a little bit, and she seemed to like it. But when I was getting to the end of the investigation, she was getting very, very sad that I was leaving, and she was making that said. And that's kind of why I'm thinking that she came from the orphanage, because she kept really expressing
Well,
how
a little child.
how she was alone. She didn't have anybody. Like, I was the first person who actually played with her in forever, and she didn't want that to go.
Aw.
Yeah. And I made a promise to her that I would go back and continue to play with her from time to time, whether I actually talked to her over Phasmabox or not. So from that point on, anytime when I would go off, whether I'm putting up posters or whatever for APB, I always made sure to have my ball in my pocket, and I would bounce it a little bit going through the hallway and everything. And I'd always go off and say hi to Jenny at the time. Emma, I would always, when I'd get up there, I'd always start off as soon as I stepped off the elevator saying, "Hi, Emma, I'm back to play with you."
Aw.
So hopefully she has enjoyed being able during my freshman year, and maybe this story will inspire somebody who lives on the 5th floor to keep a ball in their room and maybe, just bounce it around through the hallway or in their pod or in their room and give her that. Because, I think that she is sad. She's alone, that she hasn't been able to have anybody interact with her since who knows how long ago she died.
She seems like the most vocal spirit. I'd like to talk to her if that'd be ever possible.
Yeah. So that maybe.
Get my reality shaken a little bit. If
Maybe.
This is the case.
Maybe. So that really comes to it when it comes to the story of Jenny from Benny, or as I guess we should say now, Emma from Benny. Yeah. Now, I will say...
Not
yeah.
quite the ring to it.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, it doesn't. However, I would probably guess, just from talking with her and how she spoke through Phasmabox, in the story about the fire and seeing the little girl on the bed there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my guess is, as it's kind of saying here, the guess of the fireman was that she was probably around 5 or 6. I would maybe even say 4, like 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that era.
Oh, really?
So she would have been very, very young, because how she was talking with me, and as I have heard different depictions of people saying that they've seen a little girl going through Benny when there wouldn't have been any little girl going through Benny. Yeah, 4, 5, or 6. So yeah,
I guess I was imagining like more 7 or 8. Which
Yeah.
I guess isn't like really like.
this would have been anywhere, like I would probably say around, well, maybe not 4 or 5. So yeah, maybe like 4 is a little young. So maybe like 5.
Oh,
I guess
when would this orphanage have been?
5, 6, or 7 is maybe, because you're gonna think this girl probably would have been around like kindergarten, 1st grade.
Yeah.
So 5 or 6.
I don't think a 4-year-old, like, you know how kids have like that little baby blabber that they sometimes still have
Yeah.
until like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, we'll probably say that she is probably around 5, 6, or 7 years of age. So around kindergarten, 1st grade age.
When would the orphanage have been closed off?
I don't know.
Because
That I do not know.
if it was in like the early 2000s and like this
Well,
school-
I mean, up here, I was talking with one of the members of staff who went here back years ago. I won't say exactly when he was here because I know I'll get it wrong and he will hate me for it, and I'm one of his favorite students, so I don't want to lose that.
It's okay, we get it. You got it.
But he was talking about that there used to be just a bunch of trees up here, and this is, I don't know if there was
Yeah, a
part
few
of
of them
the
were some a part of
Yeah, but there was like more of a thick of trees, so I'm guessing, that was around the same time that there was possibly a part of a cemetery up here. Because he said that he and his buddies used to come up here with all the trees here and have their cake parties, so the monks couldn't see them. So, but no, I don't know that there ever was a orphanage up here. I think that the land came from someplace else, but because the orphanage was probably torn down, this girl having such a big connection to that orphanage, it kind of morphed into.
Well, the thing that I was thinking about was that like if this was like 2011 when this place was being constructed or finished or whatever.
I'd say earlier than 2011.
Yeah, like if it was finished in 2011 and like kind of being built 2009, 2010.
Maybe even earlier than that, because I know there's a video of it completed on YouTube from 13 years ago, so that would have been 2011. So I think...
Oh, so like 2007?
I'm thinking maybe like 04, 05.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like around the time that we would have still been in diapers. No, that's just a guess. I don't know. I don't know exactly when Benny was built, so it could have been more closer towards like 2010 that it was built.
If it was,
we would have been in elementary school or.
Well, no, I'm just thinking about this girl. Like, if she was 4, this place was closed down, built, completed in.
Well, I think the orphanage was probably way before that.
Yeah, but like even then, since maybe it would have been like the 80s or 90s when this girl may have. even
60s, 70s. It's hard to say.
to me, like that's the thought came to my mind. Like,
My notes don't give a depiction of how she looked when the firemen found her.
well, no,
So, for all we know, it could have been an orphanage that was around the early 1900s.
well, no, it's the matter of that. Like, if this place was closed down and like torn down in like maybe like the early 2000s, late 1990s, and this girl was already dead and brought over here, the sad thought came to my mind. That it's like, man, she's just been like, it's been nearly like 20 years.
Well, yeah,
20,
whenever they
30
tore down
years.
that building, I'm guessing she still had some kind of connection with the land there.
Yeah.
And then when it was moved here, she came with
I'm
it.
just, I'm just thinking about like that timeline of events, like how sad that really would be.
Well, and you got to think ultimately now we're coming up on, it would have definitely be like 10, 15 years that she's been hanging around here, maybe even longer.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And now I really feel bad. God.
And I will say some of the hardest things to do for any investigator is work with child spirits because of how sad that their story might be on how they passed or anything like that.
Oh, God.
One of the most gut-wrenching things for me is when I go to certain places, especially like cemeteries, and I go into, like one of the cemeteries in my hometown, there's a huge section that's kind of forgotten about down in the very back left corner that's all children graves.
Oh.
I'm telling you right now, it
God.
makes your stomach churn. I mean, it makes you feel like at your lowest and everything. It makes you sick.
Yeah.
But knowing that this girl is ultimately here, I think she's happy because she's around a bunch of kids.
Yeah, it's
Kids.
It's,
We are adults, but we're kids still.
I'd argue that we're still kids until we get to like maybe junior, senior year.
Yeah. But also knowing that the freshmen like to have a lot of fun in between the pods or floors and stuff like that.
She probably has a lot to listen to.
Well, and interact with, whether they know it or not, is she, and maybe that's even why she picked Pod 5D, is because it's a female pod, and, you know, maybe they do a lot of stuff. It seems to be the most fun to her. It seems like
Oh.
because she
Yeah.
still wants to play. She still wants to
Oh,
interact.
God, that's just sad, man.
Do you need a tissue?
No, I'm fine. But oh my God, it's actually pretty. That's pretty sad.
I hate to end it on a sad note, but that's all I have for the
At
story.
least, like, if she's happy where she is, then like that's
Yeah.
It's sad to think.
And knowing
about.
that during my freshman year here, I could help give her a little bit of fun and excitement that somebody actually could recognize her and be able to play directly with her. Yeah.
Oh,
So I,
God, now I really want to talk to her. And just,
yeah.
like, kind of
So I'm gonna leave it on that heartwarming ending there because that's all I have for this. And
Okay.
we're probably starting to go a little over than what we were willing to for
that's-
this
yeah.
story. But that
it's
is,
a lot more. I think this one's a lot more insightful.
Yeah.
I think.
yeah. Knowing that it's not just adults or that spirit will always be bad, that there are children's spirits, and a lot more of spirit is good.
Well,
than bad.
and even then, like this place has a lot. Like, you're a senior, I'm a junior now. So Benny has like had a special place in us.
Yeah.
So like we tell all these stories and like for context and everything.
I can tell other stories of Benny. I'm not going to.
It's a matter of like I
The
feel like
guys at Pod 1C of 2021, 2022 know the stories I'm talking about, but we're not going to tell them.
I think we got off topic because it's like this place I think brings back
Yeah.
like a passionate energy.
And let's face it, the freshmen have the best dorm, and we kind of both wish that we could come back here.
Amen to that.
Until you get to Rooney, because Rooney is pretty nice.
Rudy's really nice as somebody who lives there.
Frankly, I always just loved being able to come walking in through the front doors here and walk through the lobby, because I always thought it was very, very nice getting to walk across the Great Seal.
I like the look of the place actually.
It-
too.
it has that nice feel,
It's warm colors, like nice
Yeah.
tans and yellows and like reds, and it's like I don't know, it's inviting.
I doubt that any of the prefects or Res Life or many of the freshmen will see this before Christmas. But one thing, I was the hall rep for a couple months for SGA before I became a senator.
Mhm.
And I was the hall rep here at Benny. I was the only one. You're supposed to have like 3, I think, for Benny, but I was the only one. And I always thought it'd be nice how there's those outlets just past the Great Seal. Having a Christmas tree right there in the middle of the seal really make it kind of festive around the holidays. But I guess that doesn't really matter now because
If Jenny ever comes down from the floor or from the 5th floor, she could take a look at have like a nice view of the tree.
well, I mean, I'm just talking more so for the enjoyment of I know.
I'm trying to wrap it back into
Yeah.
the topic a little
But
bit.
oh well. That's it for I think this week's episode of Unearthing the Unknown.
Thank you for joining us for our ramblings.
Oh yeah. We
But-
might have to after watching this ourselves cut back on the banter. I don't know.
Maybe we may cut back or something. Yeah, but we'll may have a.
This has been ultimately the sad but interesting story of Jenny,
Emma
from Benny, as well as the girl from the ring.
The Saint Vincent Bloody Mary.
Yeah, the Saint Vincent Bloody Mary. You got two ghost stories in one. This should be. I don't care if this
double
is. Yeah, this is
feature.
a double feature, so that's why it gets to be a little bit longer because it's a double feature. You got two ghost stories
You know
in
what?
one.
Instead of calling her the Saint Vincent Bloody, let's just call her Mary, just for simplicity.
No.
Okay.
No. Maybe we will have to do an investigation, come back here, and see if we can connect with her and find out what her name
I'd be
was.
very fascinated to find out that.
You just want to be dragged into the ring.
No, thank you. I would prefer to live.
All right. Let's finally wrap this up.
Yes,
So,
I
with that, tune in next week as we bring you another story of unearthing the unknown from St. Vincent. Until then, I'm Matt Boyer.
And I'm Jacob Bacasa.
We'll see you next week. Hey there, listeners. I'm Matt Boyer, station manager of WSVC Radio. If you like what you're listening to, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button to be notified with all of our updates. Every day, one of our shows will be releasing a new episode. Stick around and tune in.